Hello, Para here from Team Paradox. Today I'm going to be doing a deck profile for my Gearfried hand control deck. I think this deck, if it connects correctly with its combos, can actually be quite a threat. So hopefully you like it. Let's get into it. So to begin, I play 3 Gearfried the Iron Knight. In case you don't know what this guy does, essentially any equip cards that are equipped to him are immediately destroyed by his effect, and that comes in handy. So we play 2 DD Assailant for problematic monster removal, and also it's good against Tsukiyomi since it has a strong defense. Exiled Force, DD Warrior Lady, also for spot removal of problematic monsters. Blade Knight to attack flip effect monsters. Also to fetch them from the deck if you need to take out like a Kycoo or something like that, or something that can be that he can attack over. And speaking of attacking over, we play 1 Zombyra the Dark, which is good to take out Gravekeeper Spy. If you flip him face down and flip him face up, he is back at 2100 again. So if you like Book of Moonum or something like that, you can refresh his attack points and attack over another spy. It can be super useful. And there are many other ways to get over spy in this deck. So continuing, we'll play Don Zaloog. And this is a Sasuke Samurai. This is effectively, Sasuke Samurai essentially is like Mystic Swordsman level 2. I just don't have any Mystic Swordsman level 2, and I actually like this artwork quite a bit better. Less attack than Mystic Swordsman, but more defense. Probably what mattered most of the time. Continuing with the monsters, we play 2 Kycoo, the Ghost Destroyer. Good just against Chaos, obviously. And 1 Breaker the Magical Warrior to round out the monsters. Obviously, Back Row Destruction Breaker, I think, is universally accepted as a good card. So that's it for the monsters. And for the traps, I play 3 Blast with Chain. If you know about Gearfried decks at all, then you know that Blast with Chain works very well with Gearfried. When this is it's also good in this deck for other reasons though, but when this is destroyed to a monster that you control, it's equipped to and it's destroyed, then you can destroy 1 card on the field. So it's kind of like a free Rokeki break in that instance. So you essentially activate this, attach it to Gearfried. Gearfried's effect destroys this, activates this effect when it's destroyed effect, and then you get to destroy another card on the field. So a monster, set, face up, back row, whatever. But you can also activate this as kind of a pseudo Sakuretsu armor if your opponent is attacking, because this, you 2100 is your, without any kind of boosters, it's your highest attacking monster in this deck, and he can't even attack directly. But so you can be a problem with high attacking monsters if you don't keep the pressure on early and they're able to get something out. So this really helps you if they're attacking into you, because if they attack into, say, a Kycoo or something like that, you boost them up to 2300, which is equal to that of Chaos Sorcerers. So it can be really useful in that regard. So lots of uses behind this card. You can activate in the battle phase, or in the damage step rather, so you can avoid certain effects that can negate trap cards and things like that. So it's definitely an interesting card. So moving on, 3 Solemn Judgement. Just to control the game state and to overall try to simplify it as quickly as possible. By simplifying, I mean reducing the number of cards in their hand, going 1 for 1 as much as possible, and just kind of controlling the way things are going to go. Because that's essentially what you want to do in a hand control deck, is ruin anything that they plan on doing and then beat them down. Ring of Destruction, Torrential Tribute, and Mirror Force. Just standard cards that are really good. Play 2 Mind Crush. This card is essentially, you activate this. There's no restriction. They don't have to have a certain number of cards in their hand. Declare 1 card. and if your opponent has that card in their hand, they discard all copies of it. If you guess incorrectly, you have to randomly discard a card from your hand. So it's good in the sense, a lot of times you're going to know what your opponent has anyway, especially with the spell card that we play in here, but you can even know without any kind of spell card what they may or may not have in their hand based on how they're behaving, or if they're, recurring spells or something from the grave or whatever it is. So it could be really nice, especially if you call something and they play multiples and they have multiples in the hand, they discard all of them, so it's kind of nice. Let's see, continuing here, I play one Call of the Haunted to finish the trap cards. This is good because unlike Premature Burial that can't bring Gearfried back, this can because it doesn't really equip to him, so you can bring Gearfried back for this card. One Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Delinquent Duo, obvious cards. Two Nobleman of Crossout, obviously good for decks that like to set, not good against Warrior, but good against decks that like to set a lot. One Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon, back row removal. Snatch Steal, which I guess it's important to know if it wasn't obvious, you can't Snatch Steal Gearfried, so not quite as good as Blindly Laurel Goblin because he can still be taken by Thousand Eyes of Strict and Brain Control and all those sorts of cards, but Snatch Steal won't work on him, and that's the most common of those cards, so very nice side effect for that. 2 Reinforcement of the Army to search out warriors, with the exception of these 3 spellcasters, everybody else is a warrior. 1 Book of Moon. This is good against Thousand Eyes of Strict, good against monsters attacking into you. A lot of high attacking monsters have kind of fragile defenses, so you can definitely use this card to protect yourself. And last 3 spells, we play 3 Smoke Grenade of the Thief. Smoke Grenade of the Thief is a card that exclusively pretty much works with Gearfried. I mean, there are other ways to activate it. When this card is equipped to a monster you control and destroyed, same requirement as Blastful Chain, you can look at your opponent's hand and choose one of the card in there and discard it. So obviously you can activate this to Gearfried, and his effect will destroy that, which will activate its on destroyed effect, and then you get to look at your opponent's hand, and that synergizes pretty well with Mind Crush. So obviously a really good card if you draw into it. It's debatable if you could play less of this, but if you're really going for a hand control focused deck, I think playing 3 of this is the right call. You just gotta accept you're going to brick. I mean, people sometimes draw into Thunder Dragon in Chaos decks, and it's a terrible time for them to draw into Thunder Dragon. That happens all the time, and yet they still play it because it's really good. So this is also really good. I just don't think it's logical to play less if you're going for a hand control, at least in my opinion. So anyway, that's it for the main deck. I do have a side deck prepared, and my thoughts are obviously goat control could be a problem for this deck. We don't have tribe in there, we don't have things like that to really take out goats, but I do play this in the side deck. King Tiger, Wingu. Any monster that is less than 1400 attack or less is instantly destroyed when summoned or special summoned, so that includes recruiter cards, scapegoats, Thousand Eyes of Strict, all those really annoying cards. So this is good against goat control, and then him in conjunction with this Light of Intervention trap card is good against flip monsters, so Chaos Turbo, things like that. You could play this, and this really will, as long as you can protect this with your Solemns, and you can keep it on the field for a decent amount of time, can really stun them enough. And if you stun a turbo deck, obviously you're kind of ruining what their main plan is, and you can beat them down pretty quickly. So I think these 5 cards work really well in a side deck because it's good against Goat Control and Chaos Turbo. Mind Control, good against Chaos Turbo, Chaos decks, any monsters that are Chaos monsters. You can banish themselves, you can take Tribe, you can make him destroy himself or destroy other monsters. There's lots of things you can do with this. 2 Trap Dust Shoot. Playing 3, I feel like I don't play this in the main deck because I just don't think if you don't go first, then it's just not as useful. And you already have a risk of breaking with other cards in this deck, so you just don't want to have this also in there, at least game one. If you lose game one, go game two, you can put these two in. You could have 3 in here if you want to, but to make room for other cards, I thought 2 was just enough. And, same deal. You can slide these in 3 into game 2, and then you'll still not draw any of them when you need them. So, but they are really good cards, and obviously work well in Mind Crush as well. So. 2 Compulsory Evacuation Device. They also work well again with Mind Crush. Good against Goat Control. Not really that great against Warrior, but good against like Chaos decks to kind of stun them once again. So a very good card. 2 Dust Tornado. Good against back row if you find that someone's sliding in Royal Decrees against you because you do have a heavy trap lineup. This can definitely help you out. And 2 Widespread Ruin. These could be Sakuretsu armors. I just have Widespread Ruin. Just for the aggro matchups, Warriors, and things like that. Warriors can be a problem for this deck if you don't draw into your Blast with Chains or your Zombyra, because they might have like a 2000 Blade Knight coming at you, and they always run 3 of those. So Widespread Ruin is definitely a good card for that. So that's it for the side deck and the main deck. I do think this deck can probably be improved upon from what I have here. This is just what I came up with. There are a lot of deck profiles on YouTube that are very similar, so at least in some way or another. But if you are kind of looking for a different sort of deck to play, I think this is a good one to try out. It's a lot of fun, and I think it could get you some good wins. So hopefully you enjoy the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.